welcome on back to the 4th 30 podcast. Glad to have you again with us this week. Sorry I missed last week. Work's been a little crazy, but that will slow down, so you'll see my bright, shining face more. Week 10, another kind of wild week in the NFL. Bad week to be on top. But we're going to do good, bad, and future again. So let's kick it off on a high note. Who's got a good for us that's not the Kansas City Chiefs? Let's not start there.
Well, my good is the Dallas Cowboys because they won me the eliminator first off, and my Stone Cold pick of the week, and they pretty much proved that the game in Week 9 was a fluke. I mean, they came out. You saw the answer that they wanted to see after the previous week against the Broncos, where they came out flat, and they just dominated on both sides of the field. Against a 4-4 team, I wouldn't consider that a 4-4 level of talent team, but all the same, they dominated both sides. My good is the Dallas Cowboys.
Against a playoff team going into the week, though, so.
Yeah, and if you've watched football the last 12 weeks, you know that there's no slouches in the NFL. There's not
this year.
One that doesn't have a chance to win any game.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. I mean, you touched on it. I mean, we've seen two of the top 5 to 10 teams in the NFL lose back-to-back games their last couple games. I mean, the Cowboys came out after that hiccup they had the week before and just put it on the Falcons. And when they got that offsides call on the extra point and went for 2, you knew they just wanted to prove a point. They were just sending a message at that point. I mean, they took care of business this week.
Yeah, that was a revenge game for the Cowboys. Not necessarily revenge against the Falcons, or more of a prove yourself game. They were destined to win that game. The way they played, they won it big time. And Kelsey said it. That was just a statement thing with the onside kick and all that. They wanted to remind everyone that they're pretty legit this year.
Do you think it's getting harder for Jerry Jones to say to himself that he doesn't like Mike McCarthy?
You know, I don't even know. Jerry Jones, you never know what's going through the dude's mind.
I got advice for Jerry Jones. Probably just stay out of it and just pay the money.
And Mike McCarthy, I mean, it's not much better. You don't know what's going through his mind either, especially late in games.
No, I think Mike McCarthy has kind of realized that his strong suit's not timeouts and X's and O's. His strong suit is smashing watermelons and doing stupid shit like that to help him out. So, we'll see. I do think that it does get harder for Jerry Jones to justify that, but where he will probably never be wrong is there's this many coaches in the NFL that have ever won a Super Bowl with 2 teams. So, the chances that Mike McCarthy, of all people, does it is pretty low. Sorry, Cowboys fans, but you can already chalk that one up as a loss. My good this week, though, is the Bengals. They were on a bye week, and everybody else, I can't say everybody else lost, but everybody else didn't win. Ravens lost to the Dolphins, Browns lost to the Pats, and the Steelers didn't win versus the Lions. But that tie is probably going to come up huge in the playoff race. But why that's good for the Bengals? Because if they wanted any chance to stay in that division, they had to start climbing, because 5 of their next 8 are against teams with winning records. 2 of the remaining 3 are 5-5, and the other is the 49ers. So they have a rough stretch coming up to finish the season. So they really needed to not lose ground in the AFC North.
We talked about that too when the Bengals got out to the hot start early in the year. Yeah, I don't remember what episode it was. We talked about the end of their schedule. Brutal. And how it looked like they could start off, with a 8-1, 7-2 record the way they were playing. But even if they got to that point, it was going to be rough after that, and that's what it is. They're not the number 1 seed in the AFC like they were for a couple weeks ago. They're not that good of a team yet, but they still control their own destiny. If they can win out, they'll have a shot at it. But it's going to be very, very tough for them.
If they win out, they're Super Bowl
Well,
contenders. Like
not win out. I mean, like win enough games to stay in the playoffs.
Ironically, they're still not the bottom team in their division. To as far as odds go to win the division, the Steelers still are. You got Ravens at -150, Browns at +450, Bengals at +550, and Steelers at +600. So,
Yeah, and we know what the narrative is about the Steelers. They win ugly, so they don't get a lot of love. Let's all be honest. And that was a rain-soaked game without Ben Roethlisberger, I will add. So they fumbled twice in overtime. The Bengals did win this week, but the Bengals just need to be focused on taking care of their own business. And another note about the schedules. I know the Chiefs have a tough schedule. The Steelers only play one game against a team with a losing record left and that's the Vikings, which you could argue they're pretty close to being 6-3 rather than 4-5. So there's a lot of tough schedules in that division to go around because they all play each other. And just like when the Steelers started 1-3, the other teams lost and let them back in it. Same thing happened to the Bengals this week. It's just who's going to get hot and separate themselves.
Yeah, that division's definitely no exception to the rule that the NFL is crazy this year. Ravens get demolished by the Dolphins. The Steelers tie the winless Lions. The Patriots beat the Browns 45-7. The NFL is a mystery to everyone.
Yeah, we talked about that. Kai made the point that anyone can beat anyone on any given Sunday, and we've talked about how crazy the NFL's been this year. That leads into my good for the Lions. They don't have a win. They don't have a win on their resume, but their winning percentage is .056 now. So it is no longer 0.
So if you just look at the win percentage, you think they might have a win.
Yeah, you wouldn't know any different.
They have a moral victory, I guess. If a tie is a moral victory, I don't even know if that's a moral
That's kind of my thing. Is I don't know how big moral victories are in the NFL. The Lions obviously aren't going to turn their season around and make the playoffs or whatnot. But that team deserves a win at this point in time. Losing on back-to-back massive field goals, they lost another game at the end, and then they couldn't make the plays to win the game against the Steelers, although they still tied it instead of losing it. That team is just a few seconds worth of football away from being a 4-win team right now, and they're sitting at 0-8-1.
Well, and another thing about the Lions that I wanted to shout out on the podcast is DeAndre Swift. That dude does not get enough love for how good he is.
Yep.
He's a top 10 running back in my book, and I don't think he gets the credit because he plays for the Lions, but
they were torching up the Steelers' good run defense.
They did. They had like 3 big runs, throughout the game. It wasn't that they consistently did it, but whatever reason it was, they broke off like 3 big runs. Carl had to say that's uncharacteristic of Pittsburgh defense. But I mean, credit them. Yeah, that was, DeAndre Swift's fun to watch too. I really like the guy.
But how crazy is this too? For how many years Matt Stafford was in Detroit, they had this much of a run game the entire time he was there. And the year he leaves, they get a running back that's just tearing it up this year.
It's because they didn't have a coach commit to it. I mean, that's what it boils down to. This coach is good for playing old school style football. I mean,
motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they get knocked down, they're going to get up and fight their kneecaps.
Yeah, they busted some of the Steelers' kneecaps this week, and I'm not happy about it.
That's true. All right, Kelsey. Can we guess your good here?
My good is the Kansas City Chiefs are back in first place in the AFC West, folks.
Somebody hit the surprise button.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it.
I think it was about week 4 or 5 when the Chiefs were at their lowest. I said, let everyone out in the West get excited. They'll have a few good weeks. The Chiefs will be back. They'll win the division. And here we are. Man, how the turntables have turned, in the words of Michael Scott.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's actually surprised by it. I think everyone knew deep down eventually they would turn things around and they would end up back at the top of the division. I know we have some Chargers fans that listen to the podcast and some Broncos fans that listen to the podcast. It's okay. You guys have dominated us for years. We can have these few years, 4 or 5 years. Let us have it. But there was no doubt the Chiefs were going to end up back on the top of the division.
So I've said from the beginning of the Chiefs' woes this year, I wasn't sure if they would win the division. I wasn't sure. I thought the Chargers and the Raiders were good enough to maybe not let the Chiefs catch them after they started off so poorly. But the Chiefs were still my team to get to the playoffs, and I thought they would be in the AFC Championship game when this is over. But for the catastrophic season they've had so far, to be at first place in the division at this point in time is just—it's mind-blowing to me. And it goes into how crazy the NFL's been this year with teams just beating teams and whatnot. And Mahomes, I said it in group chat, everyone listening, Jackson Mahomes was not at the game on Sunday, and Mahomes has by far, he looked like Patrick Mahomes the last 3 years.
As much as you like TikTok, you're going to dog a TikToker?
Oh, I'm going to dog him to death, dude. I don't like that.
Well, there's good and bad ways to use TikTok, Carl.
Dancing on Sean Taylor's number on his Memorial Day is not a good way to use it.
That'll put the double cat's ass whammy on you quicker than anything will. But Mahomes looked like Mahomes. The longer Kelsey's beard gets, as he's in the process of growing it back out, it seems to give him more power.
Good point. He did look kind of like me at the beginning of the season. He looked like a child.
Yeah. Tyreek looked better. It's just once Mahomes started clicking, that entire offense clicks. That just shows how important he is. For as talented as Kelsey and Tyreek are, Mahomes makes everyone better.
Obviously the offense looked better, but man, the thing that should be worrisome to people is how the defense has looked the last 4 or 5 weeks. That's what should be worrisome to people, because the defense has completely turned it around. And if that defense keeps playing like that and the offense gets to where we know they can be consistently, that's a team you don't want to play.
I do just want to put the brakes on just a little bit, guys, because the Raiders have had a terrible season in their organization between head coaching and Ruggs and that cornerback. Like, there's been a lot go on there. So, they're due to just start dropping. We got to play a good Dallas team coming up. Like,
it is a big test for us this weekend.
Let's see how that goes, and then we can start getting back on the train. But weren't we 6-4 the season we won the Super Bowl just a couple years ago? So
we were 6-4 when we won the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
And just a reminder too, the Cowboys are everyone on Facebook Super Bowl favorite to win it all by 40 points, and the Chiefs are just a barely 500 team. So it is a big game for the Chiefs. It's a meaningless game for the Cowboys because they're front runners to win it all. But, the Chiefs could really prove something this week.
Yeah, you definitely want to see it 2 games in a row, especially what Carl said about the Raiders. There comes a point where there's just too much adversity in your season, and we're only halfway through, and the Raiders have dealt with a lot. And you have to wonder, losing Henry Ruggs, that's the guy that takes the top off the defense. You got to wonder how that affected how the Raiders were able to play. But the Chiefs' defense has looked good for a few weeks, and their offense looked, not just Mahomes looking like Mahomes, their offense looked like the Chiefs' offense of years past. But yeah, it's a good chance this week for them to prove that wasn't a fluke.
There's no doubt this will be a good game this week, and the Cowboys are tough. I said it a few weeks ago. I think the Cowboys are as well-rounded as any team in the NFL. It's a big one for the Chiefs, because definitely if they are able to beat the Cowboys, I think that completely changes the mindset. Well, I think the Raiders game obviously helps, being a division rival, and everyone was hyped for that. The Raiders game definitely helps, but the Cowboys, that's a different hill to climb.
So, my bad is going to be weird. So my bad is the Patriots, and you'll be like, "What? They just beat the Browns 40-something to 7." Yeah, that's why they're the bad. Like, we went most of our lives with the Patriots just thumping everybody year after year, deep playoff runs, Super Bowls, all that stuff. I'm not ready to go back. And so I do not like that, they're 6-4 on the season and just barely behind the Bills in the AFC East. Hate that. I hate that Mac Jones is kind of rounding the corner and he's putting on a pretty good rookie season. Hate that. I hate that Belichick is getting back to what he's doing, loading the box on 1st and 2nd down and stopping the run, not giving you anything short and easy. Hate that. I hate that McDaniels is starting to figure it out and stump defenses again. It's stupid. So they're my bad, because I want to live in a world where the Patriots suck. And unfortunately, they don't.
Right hand of the man for everyone watching this. This is my right hand. My camera is mirrored. That was my bad too. Honest to God, that was my bad as well. I hate it. I just want 10 years. 10 years. The Patriots had a 18-year run, whatever it was.
20, yeah.
20-year run. I just want 10 years without the Patriots. And we got one. We got 1 year without the Patriots. And it was Tom Brady winning at that when the Patriots weren't relevant.
The Patriots weren't good. Tom Brady was.
So everything Carl just said is exactly true. The big thing is Mac Jones is getting more and more comfortable week by week. And he's starting to unleash that offense. It looks like the reins are coming off a little bit for how much Belichick has like his quarterbacks on a leash. You know, Tom Brady still wasn't even allowed to call plays his last season there. That was his big beef. So there's only so much quarterbacks get let loose in Belichick's system, but it seems like that's starting to happen with Mac Jones, and he looks good. And so do the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots do look good. I think they climbed up to the top 10 in our power rankings this week. They've got the Falcons on Thursday Night Football this week, but then they have the Titans next week, so that'll be a good test for them. They actually have the Titans and the Bills and the Colts and the Bills to end the season. So I don't think they're going to win that division because they could. I'm not saying they won't, but that is a tough schedule to end the season.
They've got the perfect schedule to win that, or not the perfect schedule, but they got the Bills twice. There ain't no better way to make up ground than that.
Yeah. If
Bills
win
lost
those
to the
games,
Jags,
yes,
you just got to go
division.
1-1.
Yeah, if they win those games, yes, they will win the division. But that is a tough slate for anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. That's a tough slate. But yeah, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the coffin, the nail on the head. The Patriots seem to be back, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I was one of the few who never really got off the Patriots. I always kind of thought they had a chance. And, I'm going to put the double cat's ass whammy on them right now because I don't want to see them good either. But, I mean, you have to like what they're doing. 45-7, Mac Jones, highly efficient. They ran the ball well, played good defense. That's the way they want to play. And my bad for the week, I'll just roll right into it, was the Browns. Coming off a big win against the Bengals. It kind of... I don't think the Browns have
for 3 minutes. Yeah,
I don't think the Browns have a chance to win this division. I think they have the least amount of chance to win the division in this. Baker Mayfield's beat up. They can't keep him upright. And, even when they do keep him upright, he just doesn't look that good. So it's been a disappointing year for the Browns. They had a lot of hype, but I just don't see it.
I mean, as impressive as that win was for the Patriots, I'm not trying to downplay it. They didn't have Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt's out for the season. Those are their two best weapons, and neither one of them played. They just traded their best receiver, regardless of who you think their best receiver is. They just released their best receiver. They had a hill to climb going into a game against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I think the Browns will be okay in a sense. I don't know if I wouldn't pick them to win the division, but I think the Browns are what they are. I don't think they're better than a 9-8, 10, maybe 10-7 team right now. They're not as good as we thought they were, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were missing people. Baker's banged up, but you don't lose by 38 to the that's silly. Something else is going on. They're bad attitudes, whatever it is, but the Browns are in decline for the rest of this season if they don't figure some stuff out.
And it's a weird situation because Odell was the issue, and then Odell leaves and you get demolished, and then Odell's team, who is supposed to be the best, I don't think Odell had any reason why the Rams lost, but both teams seem to have declined after their maneuvering of player.
In the Browns' defense, the players could have had an off game because everything I saw said that the coaching staff and management was blaming Odell. And the players all came out and said Odell was a great locker room guy. He was he was nice. He was supportive. Maybe not towards Baker, but towards the rest of his teammates.
Yeah, the overwhelming. That's what it felt like. Everyone was saying, "I don't know what you're talking about. He's a good teammate."
So that's kind of a Browns thing. Is that you have a superstar wide receiver who you literally don't use. Like he got 2 targets a game, really. And then you release him, say, oh, he was the problem. He was such a cancer to us. And then you get blown out the week after he leaves. That's Brown's going to Brown.
And who makes these schedules? Because the Browns play the Lions and then they play the Ravens back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, back-to-backs in football should not happen.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've never heard of that ever.
There is a bye week in there.
Oh, okay.
For the Browns.
That's still weird, but
yeah, that's super weird. But I mean, they play the Lions, Ravens, Raiders, Packers, Steelers, Bengals. So their schedule is not easy either. I mean, there's not
your whole division.
There's not a lot of easy schedules out there in general. It's the NFL.
So I kind of have a tin hat theory. So I've lived in Western PA for a little bit now, and the weather out here sucks, right? So, and especially the further up you go towards like Erie and Cleveland, stuff like that, they only get like 30 to 40 sunshine days a year, right? Which is not very many. And then you go ahead and throw daylight savings time on their ass, and they lose another hour of daylight. I bet you they're just miserable from living in freaking Cleveland. Like that's what it is. Cleveland sucks, man. Like the town is a crap hole. Sorry if you're from Cleveland, but I'm not sorry. The town is a crap hole. Like that's probably what it is. They're just tired of living in Cleveland. If you moved them to Columbus or something, they'd probably be much happier. They'd be
St. Louis.
Yeah, no.
Oh man.
It was worth a shot.
We've already had the St. Louis Browns once. We don't need the St. Louis Browns twice.
They would have to change their name.
There is actually a summer baseball team in St. Louis called the St. Louis Browns. So that is already taken and trademarked. No to the Browns.
All right. So I understand the Patriots I get why they're the bad, but there's so many bads we could have this week. The Buccaneers have lost 2 in a row to backup quarterbacks. The Rams have lost 2 in a row against after acquiring Von Miller and Odell Beckham Jr. Where to even start? The NFL is, like we said many times, crazy. I would say my bad is the Buccaneers. The 2 in a row to Taylor Heineke and who was it the week before? Who started that game?
It was the Saints.
Trevor Siemian.
Trevor Siemian. Siemian and Heineke have beat the Buccaneers and Heineke had his way with the Bucs defense this week. Brady doesn't look good. The defense doesn't look especially good. After Brady's hot start, he's slowed down a lot. I still think the Buccaneers, with the state of the NFL, are up there at the top, but it's not looking good for them right now. They're definitely not trending in the right direction.
Yeah, they're not trending up. That's the thing, is they're still in as good a position as anybody to win their division and make a run in the playoffs. But they're not passing the eye test right now.
And it's the opposite of last year. They struggled early and then trended up the whole rest of the way and into the playoffs. And now they look dominant the first 7 weeks and are trending in the complete opposite direction now.
I should go back and clip all the hate you guys gave me for saying the Saints could win the South. You guys gave me so much guff for that.
Yep.
I mean, the Saints still
could win the South.
They could. They could.
Well, I'm going to reverse the double cat's ass whammy on them that you just put on them, because after you said that, we know that the Buccaneers are just going to start playing lights out, and I'm going to say, the Buccaneers are fine. They're going to turn this around. They had a couple bad games. Expect them to turn it around this week. I expect them to light it up.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, you might want to unhear it when we get a little further down. But I've got a stat for you. But I can't say it until we get to our redo of the Eliminator stuff. So,
are we ready for future now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start with future. Since we're already talking NFC South, my future is, how good can Cam Newton make the Panthers? They had a hot start, fell off, looked horrible for a while. Acquired Cam. Literally, he only threw the ball 4 times, but he had 2 touchdowns. And he's projected to be the starter moving forward. They are 1 game out in that division. Okay, so Saints are good, Bucs are good, Panthers are only 1 game out. I mean, hell, the Falcons are only 2 games out. But how good can Cam Newton make the Panthers? He didn't look good in New England. It wasn't the right fit for him on his skill set or the Patriots' skills or what the Patriots were looking for. He's back in Carolina. All the memes about they gave up so much to find Cam Newton's replacement only to sign Cam Newton. But you can tell he is revitalized. He is excited to be playing back in Carolina. The fans are more than happy to have him back. So from the mental aspect of it to the Cam Newton factor, how good does he make the Panthers?
It's great timing. It's great timing for Carolina.
You missed one thing. They're paying Cam Newton's replacement, also paying Cam Newton's replacement's replacement, and paying Cam Newton. It's worse than the Saints quarterback room right now.
Yeah, so
they're making a lot less money.
It's good timing for Carolina because McCaffrey's back and he's healthy. So if you're ever going to have
for
a chance,
couple games.
that's going to be your chance, right? Like, if Cam Newton can shoulder some of the load and not have to just wear McCaffrey out, great. So I don't know that he makes him much better. I don't think Carolina's a contender for the NFC South. I really don't. I don't think that they're for real. Yeah, they had a hot start, but Ryan Fitzpatrick, how many hot starts has he had over his career? Like, we see it all the time. It just doesn't work out. So
you're talking to the wrong crowd. They think he's good.
Carolina's not going anywhere. But I'm happy for Cam Newton. That's great. I'm sure he's very happy to be playing football again. It's cool that he's back home. But no, he doesn't make them any better than they were.
So
I will say this. Next 3 games will tell us a lot. They play Washington, Miami, and Atlanta. They could possibly be 8-5 going into the last 3 games of the year.
And we were just talking about schedules at the end of the year. Like, that's been what we've been talking about.
4 games.
Oh, 4 games.
Okay. So you mentioned Washington, Miami, and then the Falcons. And then after that, they got Bucs, Saints, Bucs. So it is a schedule to win the NFC South.
Bills, Bucs, Saints.
Kelsey looks super confused right now, Cody. Can you
Bills, Bucs, Saints? No, there's only 3 games after what I said. You're confused.
8-5 if you're 13. There's 17 games this year. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Why does it only have 16 games on their schedule? I'm missing one.
I'm missing one too.
It might be a team that you follow.
No, it is. It's Bills, Bucs, Saints, Bucs.
Oh, it doesn't have the Bucs game on mine.
Yeah. Okay. So it's Bills, Bucs, Saints, Bucs. So the last 4 games of that stretch, so they got 3 very winnable games coming up, and then Murderer's Row after that to prove their point.
I don't think fans should get their hopes up about Cam. I do think Cam can still make plays, and I think him and McCaffrey could be a good combo. I just don't think the way that Cam is going to have to play, he's going to be able to do it game in, game out. I mean, you've seen it. His body just can't take it anymore. I did, when he scored that first touchdown and he was yelling in the crowd, "I'm back," that gave me goosebumps a little bit. I was pretty happy for him, and that was cool. But I just don't think his body's going to hold up.
Yeah, I think I agree with pretty much everything you said. When Cam got signed, I think we talked about it. I was like, that's awesome. I don't know that he makes them a contender, but that's awesome. And then when he scored that touchdown, that was awesome. Seeing, you could tell how excited he was. What was really cool is McCaffrey, even though he hasn't played on the Panthers in a year and a half. McCaffrey has played with Cam for how long? He was so happy for Cam. He was out there blocking for him, ran up behind him, jumping on him. Like, he was so pumped. That's just awesome to see. But I don't think that the Panthers are necessarily a contender. And with those last 4 games of the season, Bills, Bucs, Saints, Bucs, it's even more difficult. But
it is what makes sports fun, though. You know, those Cam Newton moments, Tiger Woods walking down that last fairway, Pujols hitting a home run in Busch Stadium, Bo Jackson hitting a home run after hip replacement. Like, that's why sports are so darn cool. Like, you just
it was
get
awesome.
some really, really fun moments like that. My future is, my good was somebody on a bye week, and my future is somebody on a bye week, because by George, they need it. The Rams. So the Rams might be one of the biggest pretenders in the NFL this year. They have beaten exactly one team with a winning record, and that's the Bucs. The other good team they beat is the Colts at 5-5. Everybody else they beat, doesn't have a winning record at all, and some of them aren't even close. So they're just kind of, they have a record like they're in the big leagues, but are they? Like, they bump up against these teams and lose. Like, yeah, you lost to the Titans. Titans are really good right now, but then you turn around and lose to the 49ers and lose to the 49ers. I don't know. LA might not be the Hollywood story they thought.
You know what's there's been some trades in the past, pretty much before people figured out what it's like. There was a time when it wasn't exactly known how important a star player was. So, like the Cowboys, the haul they got for in the early '90s, what the running back they traded and got the haul for. I can't think of his name right now. Anyways, what I'm saying is there's been some big hauls, big trades in the past. I don't think, though, in the last 20 years we've seen a team go all in like on such a short time frame as the Rams have right now. They have no first and second round picks the next 2 years. They have no first round pick the year after that. Like, they need to win now, and they're not gonna be able to sign all these guys. They have to win now, and if they end up, there's a small chance the Rams might not make the playoffs. Like, it's a small chance, but the way it's going right now, there's a small chance they might not make the playoffs. If something like that were to happen, that would be catastrophic. Like,
Yep. The pressure's
all
on
in.
them. The pressure's on them for sure.
You're exactly right, Kels, that there's a chance they don't make the playoffs. And the way the NFL is going right now, with anybody beating anybody, that chance is amplified this year. They're 7-3, but there's still only 2 games like in the playoffs. They drop a couple more while they're struggling.
And that division, no game is easy. No matter what the Seahawks or 49ers record is, like,
here's the end of their schedule. After the bye week, Packers, and then Jags, Cardinals, Seahawks, Vikings, Ravens, Niners. That's not exactly a cakewalk.
That's rough.
I do think what they do have going for them is the 7 seed in the NFC. No one's really emerged. I mean, I think it has a losing record right now. So they have that going for them. I think they'll win enough games to get in, but you do have to be concerned, not just that they lost, just in the way that they lost. I mean, these games weren't close. And, you see these teams that light up teams that aren't as good, and they get all the glory, and they get the narrative, and then I think it's a little bit overrated in their situation. And they do have some things that they need to shore up, because the way that they lost the last couple of weeks is concerning to me.
Yeah, the 49ers, who couldn't do anything on offense, made it look like they were just running up and down the field on the Rams.
I mean, you have to wonder if Stafford was even much of an upgrade over Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff, he's not putting up great numbers in Detroit, but he's not playing terrible. I mean, he's acquitted himself well, I think, for being in a Detroit Lions uniform.
I think Stafford was definitely an upgrade. Now, was he worth the trade they made for him? I don't know, but I think he was definitely an upgrade. First and third, I think, and Goff.
Here's the thing Jared Goff didn't do. He didn't throw interceptions in his own end zone. And Matt Stafford does that.
Goff did take care of the ball.
He cannot be and they don't need him to be throwing for 500 yards. You got to take care of the ball, and he hasn't done that recently.
All right, who else got a future for us?
All right, well, we already touched on it. There's a bunch of good games this week. You got the Bengals and the Raiders. You got the Chiefs and the Cowboys. You got the Chargers and the Steelers. All 6 of those teams looking for a playoff spot. But my future is the Chiefs and the Cowboys. That 3:00 game, they will be playing for a trophy. For those of you who don't know, the Chiefs and Cowboys game always plays for a trophy. It is called the Preston Road Trophy. Lamar Hunt invented it in like 1998 because him and Jerry Jones lived across Preston Road from each other. And he said, we'll just play for this. Anytime we play, we'll play for it. And the winner gets to take it. And then the next time, it's literally like there's billionaires playing for this trophy that's like a wooden boat that's like, and then the first time they played in 1998, the Chiefs won. Jerry Jones called up Lamar Hunt and he's like, hey, my friends want to see this trophy because I was telling them about your idea. Can I see it? And he's like, I don't think that's the right thing to do. We won. I'm in charge of the trophy right now. You don't get to have it right now. I get to keep it. So he literally put it in his window and made Jerry Jones and his friends drive by their house and look at this trophy that he made. Oh man. So
That's
yeah, they'll
good.
be playing for the Preston Road Trophy this weekend, the trophy that no one's ever heard of. But yeah, we talked about it earlier. The Cowboys, I think everyone thinks they're legit, except for maybe Cody. I don't know. I don't know if he's sold on 'em yet or not. But the Cowboys seem to be legit. This is a good test for the Chiefs
I
this week to see if they're actually back or.
I just put it on my Facebook. The Cowboys are. I would bet your life savings on the Cowboys to win it all right now. If you're a Cowboys fan, put your house on it. Put your baby's college fund on it. Put everything on it. They're going to win it. There's no doubt about it. But Kelsey's right. This is a big game. The Chiefs look like they're back. There's no bigger game than a top 3 or NFC team to play against. A potential Super Bowl matchup to prove if you're back or not. And it's a big game for the Cowboys. The Chiefs, although struggling this year, are still the cream of the crop of the NFL. They're still a powerhouse, even sitting at what they're sitting at. And it's a big game for the Cowboys. This is another statement game. Like almost every game all year is going to be a statement game for them, playing against any good team. And this is another one proving that they're legit and they're here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the game of the week. If you look at it, I mean, it's the top two teams, in the league. I'm taking the Chiefs though, -2.5, just for you, Cody, because I know what you're doing.
I'm not doing anything. I'm a firm believer. Cowboys all the way.
No, it's gonna be a fun matchup. I mean, it's a 3:30 game, so we're looking forward to watching it. This will be a good test for the Chiefs defense, because the Chiefs defense, and while their defense is playing good, they haven't played a great offensive team, I don't believe. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, the Raiders were at one time, but not anymore.
The
Well,
Browns
we don't
really
think they are anymore.
So it'll be I'm excited to see what the Chiefs defense is going to do this week, because the Cowboys offense will be a test.
Although everyone said we would have lost by 40 if Aaron Rodgers played instead of Jordan Love, and then they put up a whopping 17 against maybe the worst defense in the NFL. So
game.
The Seahawks defense has been playing since Russell Wilson went out much better, to give them credit. But the Packers would not have won by 40.
I saw like 3 snowflakes all game long.
Yeah, there was a couple.
It was Sunday when Pittsburgh was playing. It was just snowing like an SOB here, and just an hour west of here was just raining like an SOB there. And I was like, man, I think I'd rather have the rain. It's too early for this.
Yeah, it's spit snow a couple times in Kansas City, but it hasn't actually snowed yet.
All right. We've done a couple futures. Kyler, you still have a future left, right?
Yes, I do. And the Saints, actually, their defense is 9th in points against in the league. It's kind of surprising. Yeah.
Wow.
They've been better lately. Future-wise, I mean, we got some more good games. Sunday night game, Steelers-Chargers. I mean, that's 2 playoff hopeful teams who both had disappointing weeks last week. Big Ben may be out again, which we're not even going to talk about Mason Rudolph. Give Dwayne Haskins a chance. Rudolph has proved that he is not the quarterback of the future. I'm not saying Dwayne Haskins is, but if Big Ben can't play, put Dwayne Haskins in. He was a first-round pick for a reason.
Do they think Rudolph is the quarterback of the future in Pittsburgh?
I have no idea what they're thinking.
I hope they don't think
I'll
that.
tell you, ain't nobody out here like him. So
nobody likes Big Ben out there either. He said.
The reason Rudolph started is because he's been in the offense for a few years. But
that's what I figured. Yeah.
If you're a Steelers, yeah, you want to win the Super Bowl, but let's be honest, right now that doesn't seem like such the realist idea. I mean, they're not bad, but Big Ben's gonna retire probably this year or next year. You want to see what you have in Dwayne Haskins if Big Ben retires this year, right? You want to see him play.
I mean, I agree with that statement, but I don't even know that Dwayne Haskins can be much worse than Mason Rudolph. He didn't look especially good. Like, you might as well give him a chance because Rudolph did not look good.
I mean, look at his throws are lollipops. He can't even throw. He just doesn't have the arm strength. And I don't know what they're seeing in this guy that gives him a right to start an NFL game. I'd bring back Duck Hodges before I put in Mason Rudolph, because I at least have his jersey.
Man, for something we weren't going to talk about, by George.
Yeah, I had to get it out.
Was that your future? Was not Mason Rudolph?
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. So, Kai won the short against the spread eliminator, and he has chosen, since we have enough season left, he's chosen to start up another against the spread eliminator. And Kyler gets to choose the order of who picks when. So, you want to go ahead and do that? You mentioned you might not want to go first. So,
Yeah, we'll go me and then Cody and then Kelsey and Carl, because I think that's the way it's played out so far. Sorry, Carl.
no, I've
Wait.
been bad. Yeah.
Who's been worse, Kelsey or Carl?
Me.
Well, I was second.
Okay.
Me.
All right, we're gonna go with that order.
Red one.
And my pick is the Ravens, -4.5 against the Bears.
We're not playing spread, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we are doing
spread.
spread.
We are
You
doing
can pick the same team though.
Yeah, you can pick the same team in this one. Jesus, the Browns are 11.5-point favorites. on
Yeah,
the
that's the
Lions?
other one I had in mind when I didn't think we were doing spread.
Just for all you better guys out there, when a team doesn't cover the spread this week and they're playing a team next week that did cover the spread, you pick the team that
18
didn't.
won this year or something.
It's an
It's pretty good.
insane.
Yeah.
It's like
You
it's
pick
like
the
a
team that didn't cover the
650
previous
win
week.
percentage or something like
So
that.
the Browns could be a good bet.
I'm going to take the Panthers over the football team -3.5.
So I'm up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna take.
I didn't know we were doing spread. I was going to take the Titans over the Texans all day long. I can't believe Kai didn't pick that one. But it's a
Take the spread.
10-point spread. No, I'm good.
I'm gonna take the Packers -2 over the Vikings.
All right. And so what I alluded to earlier, I'm going to pick the only dog out of the bunch. So Brady is 0-11 against the spread in his last 11 8 p.m. Eastern starts. So I'm taking the Giants +11.
I
like
should
it.
have taken. I heard you make that comment a little bit ago. I should have taken the Giants just to take the wind out of your
We can
sails on
both
that
take the same
stat.
team. You don't have
Oh
to
yeah, I
pick a
forgot. We
different
can't do
team.
that.
I thought about taking the Lions +11.5. That's
Yeah,
This will be
that's-
the week the Buccaneers pop off.
Oh yeah, they'll win by 30 just because I said that. But I mean, 0-11 against the spread. I mean, the only thing that sucks is he plays better in Tampa Bay than he does on the road in the games in Tampa Bay.
The Giants are coming off a win where they covered the spread, and the Buccaneers are coming off a game where they didn't cover the spread. Just throwing
means
that
the
out there for you,
Buccaneers
Carl.
could-
I mean,
cover.
a stat has to break. Either Brady, but 11 points to an okay Giants team. That's quite a bit. I didn't say good. I said okay.
The
But
Packers did cover the spread last week, and the Vikings didn't. I'm doing the same thing.
alrighty, I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week. Good games. The NFL is just tumultuous this year, to give you a $5 word for the day. And go ahead, watch on Sunday, and if you see something weird happen in a game, or something pops up in the news, go ahead and shout us out on social media, on any of the social medias, and say, hey, did you guys see this? And we might throw it in as a topic. So always be on the lookout for that. If you like our power rankings, go ahead and comment on that. If you don't, you're wrong. So
But you can comment still. We like to
you
tell
can
you're
still
wrong.
comment.
I would love to
we-
tell you how wrong you are, and that I've already had to say it once since the new one came out. It's a power rankings, not a standings.
Yeah, we pour over stats and figures for hours making those up, so they can't be wrong. The computers aren't wrong, guys. So get over yourselves. But anyway, you guys have a good one out there. Like and subscribe. But until then, be good and tell your grandma. Peace.